nerds, welcome to another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Theories and Conspiracies. I'm Brian from Good Nerd, Bad Nerd, and last night was a fantastic episode that really didn't tell us too much. It confirmed stuff we already knew, and really just kind of was setting the groundwork for what should hopefully be an amazing mid-season finale. I'm going to get into that and explain everything that's going to be happening, but first I wanted to talk about some of the team dynamic stuff and explain what happened there. First, the Koenig brothers. These are life model decoys. They have to be. Maybe there is an original one, but all of the brothers, all looking the same, all the same jokes. These clearly life model decoys. And in the scene we saw with them and Trip, they like screwing with people, and I think that's hilarious. Now, Fitz and Simmons, this broke my heart. Fitz got the ultimate friend zone. He got, and he knows it. He got a super spy level friend zone, and that just hurt me. It breaks my heart, and that's why he always needed Mac around, because he didn't want to have this conversation. Mac knew it, and that's why he, forced that conversation on them. As much good as that did, but yeah, my heart goes out to Fitz. It hurts. But Mac, on the other hand, now one thing that I'm not sure many of you know is Mac is actually based on a character from the comics, Alfonso Mackey. In the comics, he would go by Al. In this, he goes by Mac. In the comics, he is a liaison between S.H.I.E.L.D. and the CIA and back and forth. There isn't too much there that relates to what is happening. He never gets changed into some monster. But I'm not ready to count him out after taking that fall either. He had that quick conversation with Bobby about bringing Hunter into their other thing, which maybe this is a secret Avengers, or maybe a Nick Fury secret team for his secret war. That's kind of reaching, but that's the only reason I'm not willing to count him out as dead yet, because there's something there that they wouldn't have set up, they wouldn't have teased if there wasn't something important there. Now, what could he have turned into if he survived the fall? At this point, my only guess is that maybe something about the temple. For those it does not deem worthy, and by worthy, I'm pretty sure that's a genetic marker, is that maybe he got turned into some sort of one of the deviants, which is an offshoot of humanity that went the other way, versus going towards the Inhumans. That would be the only idea of what he was turning into before the fall. So we'll see. They have to go down that shaft. We know they do. So if his body isn't there, we know he's still alive. Now Ward, he's really screwing with people. He's bringing Skye to meet her dad against everyone's will. He doesn't blow up the plane, though, which he didn't have the authority to make. Our S.H.I.E.L.D. team's in trouble because we don't know what's going to happen there. But it's just, who is he? Who is Ward? Because he's not just Ward. And one of the reasons I say that is basically every other main character on the show is appearing in the comics, or is going to appear in the comics, and Ward hasn't. So I'm really heavily leaning towards him being Taskmaster, because he's basically the best in that field, and he really was a spy, deep undercover for S.H.I.E.L.D. And maybe the way they're doing it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Ward has put it upon himself to be that spy and not under anyone's actual authority. But we'll see. We've got to get something on him this season, whether it's tomorrow or not. We were definitely going to get something on Ward, because he can't stay in this same position of, I'm working with the bad guys, I'm killing the bad guys, but I'm also not helping you guys out too much, despite what he thinks. And of course, that brings us to Skye. Skye is going off to meet her dad. Skye kicked a lot of ass this episode, which was kind of surprising, but maybe this has something to do with her training. Maybe she has something similar to the Taskmaster, be able to pick up any skill. But she displayed a lot of things this episode. or premonitions, those dreams that were basically kind of maybe showing her some of her past, but her mind was filling them in with her current family. Um, May and Coulson portraying her parents and seeing them abandon her. It's hard to know what actually was going on, but it does seem like she has some other abilities that are starting to come to light. And it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Raina dropped so much information on us this week, and that's what's going to actually build into the confirmation. She's the one who said, yes, they are the Kree. She's the one who repeated that story of the Blue Angels coming down to the planet, and she's the one who said they left the Diviner on purpose. She called it the Diviner. She also said that her and Sky weren't aliens, but that the Diviner definitely was alien technology. I'm not sure if she's 100% right on Sky. Well, no, she is, because I think Sky actually is the daughter of Inhumans. So she wouldn't be alien, she would be human, but she has that genetic marker, genetic code, genetic predisposition to become an Inhuman, to be deemed worthy by the Diviner. So that's really everything that's going on there. So what does this mean for the big story? And how do the Kree and the Inhumans fit into all of this? Well, I think what the temple is the spot for what is known in the comics as Terrigenesis. And that is when you use, there's a crystal that you would use to create powers, and we've talked about this a lot, and I'm sure this is where everyone's going, and this is the theory on how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to get superpowered individuals that are not mutants. Some event is going to happen that's going to cause global Terrigenesis, and they keep hinting at Hydra wanting to do an extinction level event, assuming, because they're assuming this is a weapon. Now, the one guy who knows everything about it has said, "Oh, it can kill people, but it's not a weapon," you know. So the temple is where that's going to happen. Only people who are deemed worthy, meaning those who will go through and survive Terrigenesis to become something else. That's all happening there. Now, the reason this ties into the Kree, you have to know that during the Kree-Skrull War, now the Skrull would have been the villains in Avengers, but because of legal stuff, it was the Chitauri. They've had this like hundreds of thousand-year-long war, and the Kree were going to use Earth for two reasons: develop new soldiers and weapons, basically trying to make superhumans, super soldiers, things like that, and two, to kickstart their own evolution. They were doing experiments, and they kind of ignored it. After they set up this whole thing and then walked away from it, but they did leave a guard at one of their outposts on the planet, and it's possible this is going to happen, because this would again tie in the Kree really strongly to what's happening on Earth. That guard was Sentry 459, and that's a giant purple robot. No, not the giant purple robots we saw last summer, the Sentinels. This is a Sentry, and the Sentry are even stronger than the Sentinels, and they're the backbone of the Kree army. So the Kree set this up. They got all this in motion, and the timing with what we've heard in the show is that the alien is thousands and thousands of years old. That fits with the timing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of when the Kree came and started their experiments. I know I was speculating on a lot of other stuff, but I really just wanted to cover everything. But now, with that little bit of information we got, we are definitely looking at some sort of Kree Inhuman outpost or city. And it's not going to be Adelon. I don't think it's going to be Adelon. I think this is more likely going to be a Kree outpost, and that it will lead somewhere else. Kind of like, this is off, similar, for those of you who are familiar with the show Stargate, they were looking for Atlantis, they thought they found it, but they actually found an outpost that led them to Atlantis. And this will be the outpost that leads them to Adelon, because they have to, we can't just have all the Inhumans right now. We've got to build to that, and so that's what this is going to do. It's an outpost that's going to start the chain reaction of new Inhumans and people with abilities, and that's all going to lead to Adelon. And I think this will actually connect directly to what's going to happen with the Civil War, but we will see. That is to come, and we'll find out more about how that happens. So that's what I think. I know there wasn't much this episode, but I'm really excited about what's going to happen next week. I know they've got something big planned for us, so we'll see. So tell me what you think. Do you agree? Are you as sold on the Inhumans theory as I am? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to click subscribe. Until next week, this has been Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Theories and Conspiracies, and I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd.